My name is Deb Duncase, D-U-N-K-H-A-S-E, and I am one of the co-founders and board of directors of Open Heartland.
My name is Diane Platt, D-I-A-N-E-P-L-A-T-T-E. I'm a co-director at Iowa City Free Lunch Program.
My name is Ryan Markle. I am R-Y-A-N-M-A-R-K-L-E, and I am the program manager for Community Crisis Services, Food Bank, and Financial Services.
I'm Leslie Alvarez, L-E-S-L-I-E-A-L-V-A-R-E-Z, and I'm the Director of Operations at North Liberty Community Pantry.
My name is Tom Martinez, T-O-M-M-A-R-T-I-N-E-Z. I am a policy associate with Common Good Iowa and a board member with the Coralville Community Food Pantry.
My name is Emily Meister, E-M-I-L-Y-M-E-I-S-T-E-R, and I'm the Director of Community Impact and Engagement at United Way of Johnson and Washington counties.
Hello, John Bowler, J-O-H-N-B-O-L-L-E-R. I'm Executive Director of the Coralville Community Food Pantry.
Thanks. And Ryan Bobst, R-Y-A-N-B-O-B-S-T. I'm the Executive Director at the North Liberty Community Pantry.
Thank you.
Do it all again.
Yeah. Are we ready to get started? So we each have something to share, and then there'll be time for questions at the end. Good morning. My name is Nikki Ross. I'm the Executive Director at Table to Table Food Distribution Network. We welcome and thank you for being here. Across Johnson County, food access partners are working tirelessly to meet the needs of our neighbors. In these extraordinarily challenging times, a coalition of pantries, meal sites, and hunger relief organizations have formed the Johnson County Food Access Network. These partners are committed to identifying shared challenges and building coordinated solutions. Today we speak with one voice to address the SNAP emergency created by the government shutdown and immediate devastation it will bring to our community.
Across Johnson County, more than 10,000 people rely on SNAP to put food on the table every month. Beginning tomorrow, $1.7 million every month in vital grocery benefits will vanish overnight in Johnson County alone, leaving families who are already struggling to meet their most basic needs with nowhere to turn. This creates an impossible gap for our network to fill as we fight to keep food on the table for children, families, and seniors in our community.
I'm Diane Platt, co-director of Iowa City Free Lunch Program. SNAP is the largest source of food support for our neighbors facing hunger. For every dollar we provide through the Johnson County Food Access Network, SNAP delivers $9 in essential groceries. When that support disappears, families have nowhere to turn but food pantries and meal sites, many of which are already stretched to the breaking point. We simply cannot replace $1.7 million monthly in lost food assistance in Johnson County with donated cans and boxes.
Hello, my name is Ryan Markle, Program Manager for Community Crisis Services, Food Bank, and Financial Services Department. Even though this devastating pause in SNAP has yet to officially take effect, Food Access Network partners are already witnessing an alarming surge in service numbers. On an average day at Community Crisis Services Food Bank, we serve about approximately 180 families. This past Thursday, we served 285, which is a 60% increase in overall visits. Likewise, our mobile pantry visits saw an increase of 95 households, while home delivery requests have increased by 71 households over the last 2 weeks. This record-breaking period is just a stark preview of what is to come if SNAP benefits are not issued on time. Long lines, an overextended workforce, and a depleted food supply. This is simply not sustainable.
I'm Leslie Alvarez from the North Liberty Community Food Pantry. Yesterday, we spoke with one of our North Liberty neighbors whose SNAP benefits will go unpaid next week. Kiana is a local mother of 6 who will lose $467 in SNAP benefits beginning this Saturday. Kiana described the fear and uncertainty her family is feeling as the shutdown threatens to eliminate the assistance they rely on. I'm trying to stay hopeful that we do get our benefits back, but it's a really scary time, and I'm really worried for other people that depend on that for their household. I grew up going to different food pantries, my mother being on SNAP benefits. It has always just been an extra resource to help people like us. I'm not a family that's trying to milk the system or anything like that. Like, it genuinely helps us. It gives us a peace of mind. We will have the extra funds to buy our children's shoes or buy our children's clothes. Just having that extra funding in our pocket, having that peace of mind and knowing that we get the SNAP benefits. We have to think about November bills. We have to think about winter coming, the holidays, about Christmas coming up, thinking about the children and what we can do to make sure they have a great Christmas. That's the main focus, just making sure that our children do not feel like they have empty stomachs for the holidays. The holidays are supposed to be cheerful moments and happy moments, and with this happening, it just doesn't feel like it's going to be as happy or cheerful of a holiday season as it usually is. Be there for people and just be kind, because you never know what anyone is going through. Kiana's story is one of the thousands we're hearing across our community. Families like hers are facing an impossible choice between keeping the heat on, paying rent, and putting food on the table.
My name is Tom Martinez. I'm a policy associate with Common Good Iowa, as well as a board member with the Coralville Community Food Pantry. We know that SNAP benefits don't just help the people who receive those benefits. Their impact reverberates through all of our local economies. For every dollar spent on SNAP, $1.80 is produced in economic activity. That's $2.6 million a month of economic activity in Johnson County alone, and it's $80 million across this state. We also know that data from the USDA suggests that 50% of benefits go to households with working families. The households without individuals working typically are unable to work due to old age or disability. 64% of SNAP participants are in families with children. Any cuts to SNAP will be hurting the 3 groups who we should be helping, honoring, and aiding the most: our workers, our elderly, and our children. We are also aware that this crisis may be our everyday reality in the near future. The One Big Beautiful Bill passed in July fundamentally restructures the program and shifts considerable costs to the state of Iowa. If our state fails to be more than 95% accurate in administering this program, the federal government will slide us a bill for $25 million. This is on top of the $15 million already cut in administrative costs. Our states literally cannot afford that money. If we default on our SNAP responsibilities, this disaster today, this emergency, will become our reality. We need our state leaders not only to respond to this crisis, but take immediate action to forestall the one tomorrow. Thank you.
I'm John Bowler, Executive Director of the Coralville Community Food Pantry. To quote our colleagues at the Iowa Hunger Coalition, hunger is a policy choice. This unprecedented lapse in critical nutrition benefits is completely preventable. Together, we call on Congress to engage in good faith negotiations to end this shutdown immediately to avoid this crisis. We call on USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins to exercise her legal authority to activate contingency funds to ensure that November SNAP benefits are still issued should the shutdown continue. While we commend the recent commitment from the governor's office to provide up to $1 million total to Iowa's food banks, requiring a financial match to secure those funds adds an unnecessary hurdle that will only delay urgent support. This $1 million equates to barely 2% of SNAP funds statewide. This minuscule allocation wouldn't even cover the monthly cost of SNAP in Johnson County alone.
I'm Emily Meister with United Way of Johnson and Washington Counties. Our government has failed to fund this critical food program, causing this emergency. We need your help, and you can make a difference right now by donating funds, volunteering your time, or checking with your local food pantry or food access organizations to understand their needs. To help, you can visit United Way of Johnson and Washington County's website at unitedwayjwc.org to learn about our needs and to donate. Every act of generosity helps keep your neighbors fed while we press for lasting, long-term solutions.
Ryan Bobst with the North Liberty Community Pantry. Our message is simple. Johnson County deserves to be free from hunger. No one should go hungry because of political gridlock. Though we find ourselves with the impossible task of temporarily replacing a crucial safety net, we are committed to keeping our operations strong and stable. Through this network, our goal is to share resources and problem solve so that the families counting on us will face as minimal of a disruption as possible. With that, we'd be happy to take any follow-up questions from members of the media.
We have one. I have several, actually. But last I checked, we're still waiting to hear the ruling from the federal judge in the case of the 25 states sued the federal government to free up these funds. If those funds are released, can any of you talk about how, what that would look like in the coming weeks?
I can start.
I was going to say, I know from what I
So, first of all, we're gonna if the funds are released for November SNAP, that is the best case scenario, obviously. I think the thing that gets overshadowed, and we're here talking about the SNAP emergency, but November was already the cutoff point for a bunch of changes around eligibility for SNAP benefits, and we were already expecting an increase in individuals. For example, refugees and immigrants who had legal availability for SNAP benefits will no longer be accessing those benefits. I think on top of that, one of the things we typically see is SNAP benefits don't always reach and meet the full need, right? And so I know that our pantries sometimes see a higher pantry visits at the end of the month for folks who've already run out of benefits. So when are they going to release those funds? Is it going to be on the timeline that folks already expect it? And we are still going to be filling the gap for a week and a half, even if they can do that. But certainly, we really hope that they do. Anything to add? Go ahead.
So, real quick, a week and a half is going to be that estimated timeline.
I mean, we don't even know.
Yeah, I think that was the only thing I was going to add is the statements from the administration are that the administrative burden to turn around and release these funds will be great, and they expect it to take time. And yet, we've got people experiencing the emergency today.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you talked about the changes to eligibility with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Can you talk a little bit more about how SNAP is going to change with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and what maybe some of the food pantries here or other organizations have done or have planned to deal with those?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I can speak a little bit to the changes from the reconciliation bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill. It does a lot of things. It fundamentally restructures SNAP in almost every way. As far as the kind of the November timeline, the big kind of ticket stuff is that it basically bans refugees from using this program. And it also increases both in frequency and the population that will have to be required to work. We know from lots of peer-reviewed good research that suggests that work requirements do not actually increase the amount of hours worked among SNAP recipients. It really just pushes people off the rolls. As far as kind of the more long-term, the things that will kind of start kicking in a year or two, the most consequential of which has to do with the payment error rates, which is a measure of administrative accuracy. And like I said, if our states does not, if we are not able to administer the program with 95% accuracy, we will start seeing bills being shifted on an annual basis to our states. Our states, I think this past week, projections show that our state will lose close to 9% of our annual revenue And this is a bill that we literally cannot afford. And if we can't pay this bill, there's a probability that SNAP will go away forever. That's 260,000 Iowans going without groceries. That is $80 million being lost. And this is something that we need to, beyond this crisis, which we, as the Johnson County Food Access Network are responding to, are doing our best to feed everyone that is coming, to help ask for assistance. We have to start looking into the future, and we have to start taking immediate action to address this problem. That that all these changes from the reconciliation bill. As far as our response from
John, will you talk a little bit about the Food Access Network?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as Nikki stated earlier, like even before this nonsense with the SNAP emergency, we were all bracing for what was going to be the hardest year on paper for 2026 with all those changes to SNAP that Tom just reiterated. But yeah, this network exists because every partner on this table wants to make sure that our neighbors have access to routine food that they need and deserve. So collectively, we're doing a lot to make that happen, even in the midst of an emergency. So we're sharing resources. We're going after funds together from different sources. We were just recently awarded a fund from our community foundation locally, and just this morning we're talking about how to allocate those funds, what are the most needed items across the board with all the partners in the room. But we set this up almost a year ago, the network, just to, again, plan ahead to find efficiencies, but to better support every single food access partner in Johnson County, whether it's a meal site, food pantry, school pantry, whatever it might be. So we know when we work together, we can just address this work more efficiently, effectively, reach more people. But I'm excited about some different resources we'll be sharing together, which includes joint statements like this, like advocacy, but it also includes joint purchases to get better prices on wholesale products that we can all really use right now.
And the central fund?
Yeah, and to add to that, so United Way is launching, as of today, a Food Access Network Relief Fund. And you can find that on our website at unitedwayjwc.org. All funds donated to that fund on our website will go to this Johnson County Food Access Network. 100% of those dollars will go to joint bulk food purchasing for these programs to help fill the gap, and also to address if SNAP benefits are reinstated. As John shared and Nikki, this was already a really growing emergency in our community, and those funds will continue to be utilized so that pantries have offerings that our neighbors need.
We've been talking to quite a few of you food pantries, some of you up here we've talked to this week. Something we've been hearing is that the food banks and food pantries aren't seeing as many donations coming in as normal. If that is one of you guys, could you speak about that? And then also what you're doing to help with that? I know you're purchasing, but what else?
Well, oh yeah, go ahead.
I think that we have seen, especially this last week, the generosity of our community across the county, that our neighbors are stepping up for each other, that we're here to support each other so that no one goes without food. And that is going to help us meet this immediate emergency. I think the long-term challenge is that we cannot raise $1.7 million every month to replace SNAP, that the long-term solution is SNAP benefits and our neighbors having access to the best possible food access possible.
Yeah. And to add to that, for this moment that we're in right now, I would encourage community members to, like we said, first consider making a financial donation because there is a lot of buying power in this group. Second, if you have items that you would like to donate, food items to a pantry that you're already familiar with and you work with, please do. And then lastly, we're encouraging large-scale activations for food donations. So any organizations, businesses who would like to host a food drive, please reach out to us at United Way. We're going to be coordinating these large-scale efforts on behalf of the Food Access Network so that those will go to this general Food Access Network and be distributed equitably from there. So that would be a huge help in this immediate time frame.
Can you speak more to the
governor's plan to donate that $1 million matching? You mentioned that the matching is possibly an unnecessary barrier. What would the ideal state response to the situation look like?
Sure. Yes. So I think we all agree. We just heard about this announcement yesterday from the governor's office. Haven't had a ton of time to process or follow up with more questions, but the initial press release does feel a bit vague. We're not quite sure how those funds will be allocated to the to the food banks, and then how much will trickle down to the actual direct service organizations providing the food to our neighbors in need. So we have a lot of questions around that. Obviously, as mentioned earlier, $1 million, we appreciate it, but it's not nearly enough. It's just 2% of the $45 million it takes to fund SNAP in Iowa. And as Tom mentioned, the economic impact of that, over $80 million. So as far as like what would an ideal response be, some states have found additional resources to put, again, to food banks, but also food pantries. Some are considering using any funds for a replacement for a SNAP program for the month of November, which I know poses a lot of challenges and delays as well too. But I know one thing that's still kind of fresh in our minds is Food Access Partners was this past summer, Healthy Kids Iowa. Kind of a similar process happened where governor's office released funds to food banks, and still a lot of pressure was put on those of us in the direct service roles, food pantries, to ensure that our neighbors, especially young kids, had access to food they needed. And we know and we learned from the summer that didn't work. So we encourage the governor's office to think more innovatively on how we can actually make a dent.
And I think maybe to add to that, and when John said think more innovatively, is to engage the actual organizations that are doing this work and to ask, have these conversations about how we can best meet the need, because it's not a simple answer, as John said, but the best way to get to a solution that works is to engage folks who have experience with food insecurity and people who are serving those individuals directly.
To that point, I believe the governor's release said that they were meeting twice weekly with some of their partners. Nobody here is in that conversation?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's mostly food banks and a couple.
And by food banks, that's the regional, the six food banks across the state. So it doesn't get down to the community level.
You probably haven't had a chance to see it, but this morning, Speaker Johnson and Secretary Rollins spoke with the press. And while they said basically all the things, and they were specifically talking about the SNAP and the funding cutoff, and they said all the things we expect them to have said, but there was a new comment, at least new as far as I could tell this morning. Secretary Rollins described SNAP as a deeply corrupt program. I can understand why you might not want to speak to this, but can anybody speak to this?
Yeah, I'd be happy to again, I haven't actually seen the press release or the comments specifically, but I can tell you that, especially in the build up to the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill, there was a lot of conversations about fraud and lots of similar types of this idea that it's corrupt, and I've not seen the evidence. And everyone that I've talked to about all of this, there's nothing concrete really to demonstrate that that any part of this program is affiliated with corruption or fraud. Specifically, like that payment error rates, it is a measure of administrative accuracy, and it's not a measure of fraud. This SNAP is proven to be one of the most effective and efficient and equitable programs that this government can adopt right now. It successfully reduces food insecurity by giving people the means to feed themselves. And it is incredibly efficient because it goes straight to the people who need it most. This is an excellent program. It has broad public support. 60 to 70% of the public supports this program, and it is necessary and it has to be preserved.
I would also implore those elected officials to come to a food pantry or go to their local food pantry and witness what it feels like for a family to come and sign up for services. We're making these welcoming, wonderful experiences, but people are coming in nervous. People are coming in worried that they can't feed their family and they're going to be turned away from our doors, which we never do. But people aren't coming in joyous like, ooh, yes, I'm going to cheat the system. They're coming in scared that they're going to be turned away from feeding their children the food that they deserve to get.
Sorry, one more thing. And this is the essence of this program, is that we know that children are being fed by this program. More than 50% of single women, single mothers with children are eligible for SNAP in the state of Iowa. Women, this is cutting off food to single mothers. This is the thing that SNAP is such an effective program. And if there's no evidence of fraud, then you can't ask me to believe that. And especially when you have to look at who's actually benefiting from these programs.
I have one more. Just curious about, we've heard Hy-Vee and Smithfield and Bank of America making these donations, and I'm curious if you can help kind of paint the picture about how these corporate donations are filling in that financial gap.
I'd be happy to take that. So I think Emily kind of mentioned a little bit of the structure of the charitable food system. So, you have kind of the food banks, which are kind of or sometimes they're called food reservoirs, and they're kind of the larger multi-county big organizations that often partner with these larger corporations to actually get food and then distribute them. And then on our level, the food pantry level, we're the folks who are actually doing the distribution. So pantries are the ones who are seeing families every single day, giving people the food. So the food banks are really probably the source of those kind of partnerships. Like any kind of corporate bureaucracy, it's a little bit harder to kind of track exactly where food is coming from, where the money is being spent. So for our purposes, I feel comfortable saying, we need the supports. We're happy to have the supports, but that's kind of engaging with a larger bureaucracy. That's a little bit harder for us to see.
I would just add that's why I think United Way of Johnson and Washington County's fund is so important, because 100% of the donations made for Johnson County will stay in Johnson County. We will use that money to purchase food and make sure our neighbors don't go hungry. And I think with these larger corporate donations, as Tom said, it's not clear how those funds are being used.
Would you read your last part just one more time? Because you got essentially.
Oh, Ryan?
Yeah.
I think Ryan.
Oh,
yeah.
Ryan. Sorry.
Yeah, that was Ryan. Yeah. It did, that's true.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I can do that. Our message is simple. Johnson County deserves to be free from hunger. No one should go hungry because of political gridlock. Though we find ourselves with the impossible task of temporarily replacing a crucial safety net, we are committed to keeping our operations strong and reliable. Through this network, our goal is to share resources and problem solve so that the families counting on us will face as minimal disruption to services as possible.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is my name John? They give you all the hard balls, huh? While you're here.
Yeah, I feel happy to do it.
It's like you're playing wiffle ball. You just hit them out of the park.
Well, yeah, you have to just lobbing them up, and I don't know.
Okay, cool. Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
We need to put this room back into a certain order.
Probably.